From Wish TV and the All Indiana Podcast Network, this is the News 8 Daily 8 Podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update.
Hi, this is Kylie Conway, and this is your News 8 Daily 8 for Friday, July 1st. Some clouds are going to move into the area early today with 90-degree temps sticking around, and it's going to be a little bit more humid. So probably more uncomfortable. Some strong storms in the west are a possibility, and the moisture in the air that we're getting could give us some showers and storms in the afternoon hours. We certainly can use it. We're going to have a low near 70, so really not going to cool off very much in the nighttime hours as well. The largest structure within the North Split project is open. Traffic shifted onto the flyover bridge from I-65 southbound to I-70 eastbound early this morning. We did see on daybreak cars using it for the first time. NDOT says the Delaware Street ramp off 11th Street also opened this morning. NDOT says construction on the North Split should finish up this fall. And breaking news overnight, we've been following. A 15-year-old boy was shot. Officers responded to East New York Street just before 2 this morning and found the boy. He was taken to a local trauma center and is said to be stable.
There were multiple individuals that were in the vicinity at the time that are speaking with officers now, as well as at the location where we believe that the shooting might have occurred.
Police do not have any suspect information, but they do believe that the shooting was an isolated incident. And airlines and airports face what may be their biggest test since the pandemic started. With big crowds for the July 4th holiday, experts predict a record air travel weekend at a time of major staffing shortages. Parking at the airport gives a sense of how crowded it is. So as of this morning, Indianapolis International reports 18% of the economy lot is still open. 35% of the spots are open in the garage, and 25% are available in the park and walk area. Security wait times were relatively quick this morning. All checkpoint times were about 10 minutes or less. And according to Gas Buddy, gas prices will still be at the highest on July 4th that we've ever seen. It's more than $1 a gallon higher than any other July 4th. Patrick DeHaan with Gas Buddy predicts drivers who initially were going to stand by on the sidelines might hit the road. Fuel prices have also hit the airlines hard. Reportedly, more than 800 flights were canceled Monday afternoon. DeHaan says there are various factors impacting air travel operations.
The surge in demand, and there's less capacity than there was prior to COVID. A lot of airlines have retired aircraft, and a lot of pilots took early buyouts. And so there's a very tight ship, not only at the pump, that's what's pushing prices up, is that there's very little breathing room this July 4. Whether you're driving, you notice the high price of gasoline, but there's fewer pilots, fewer flight attendants. Now airlines are trying to hire back quickly, but with a lot less planes in the sky, that's putting a lot of pressure on airlines this July 4. So don't be surprised. We've already seen Delta take the kind of unprecedented step in issuing waivers for anyone traveling if there's any disruptions. It wouldn't surprise me if we see a few kinks here and there over what's to be potentially the most robust July 4 for air travel that we've seen.
DeHaan believes gas prices will continue to decline for the next 2 to 3 weeks, pending an unexpected disruption like a major weather threat to the Gulf Coast. Indiana drivers, there's an extra obstacle. The state's gas tax increases today. Before now, Indiana drivers paid 74.4 cents a gallon in taxes. That's broken down into a use tax, an excise tax, and a federal tax. Today, the state use tax bumps up 5.1 cents to 29.1 cents. The excise tax also automatically goes up by a penny to 33 cents. The federal tax is staying the same, 18.4 cents, but you add all of that up, and Indiana consumers end up paying more than 80 cents a gallon in tax. The new Indiana law banning transgender girls from competing in K-12 girls' sports takes effect today. Governor Eric Holcomb, you might remember, he'd vetoed the bill in March. He said that the bill didn't have a consistent policy for fairness in K-12 sports. State lawmakers, though, overrode that veto in May to uphold the ban. Opponents say the bill is a response to a problem that doesn't exist. Supporters say it protects the integrity of girls' sports. Also starting today, a major change to Indiana's gun laws. Most adults no longer need a permit to carry a gun in public. Exceptions include those with a felony conviction, a restraining order, or a dangerous mental illness. State police had opposed the change, saying it takes away a quick way to check to see if someone is carrying a gun illegally. Indiana is one of at least 25 states to allow permitless carry. An Indianapolis man is accused of killing his sister in her home while her children were there. Police arrested Christopher Monroe yesterday afternoon. Investigators say he admits he shot Ashley Atkins in Canby Wednesday night. According to the police report, the pair had been arguing for some time when Monroe called 911, saying he shot Atkins with a shotgun and claimed it was self-defense. The report says he later told police it was an accident. Police say Atkins' oldest son woke up to the argument and told his siblings to go outside. Monroe was set to appear in court for the first time on Tuesday. A West Side shooting is now a homicide investigation. We told you about Wednesday's triple shooting on Guyon Road yesterday. Since then, IMPD revised that report, saying 2 men were shot and 1 has died. IMPD says it found the victims while responding to a crash. Investigators are now working to figure out where the shooting happened. And we're hearing more calls to release the full unedited video showing a man's death while he was in IMPD custody. The video was released months after Herman Whitfield III's death. Whitfield's family accused IMPD of releasing a false narrative and leaving out key details. Now, Faith in Indiana's Black Church Coalition says there is still more to see.
It's argued that there were 6 different angles, of which 45 minutes available per angle, and what was released was a 13-minute audited, augmented video. And so the request, the demand, the petition is for all of the footage to be released at once so that those that are trying to discern what happened in this matter are able to make an actual comprehensible evaluation about what's going on.
IMPD says Whitfield's parents called for an ambulance in April as Whitfield had a mental health crisis. Faith leaders also calling for the IMPD officers involved in Whitfield's death to be fired. The Supreme Court's newest justice is already looking through cases less than a day after her swearing in. Justice Ketanji Brown Jackson replaced Justice Stephen Breyer on the court yesterday as Breyer and Chief Justice John Roberts swore her in. Jackson is now getting familiar with about 24 cases the court will start hearing in October. Jackson is the first Black woman to serve on the nation's highest court. A larger formal ceremony for her will happen in the fall. And Jackson's swearing in happened almost immediately after the court delivered a final round decisions for its term. One ruling limits the Environmental Protection Agency's ability to issue broad regulations about carbon emissions from existing power plants. Chief Justice John Roberts wrote in the majority opinion that capping carbon dioxide emissions may be sensible, but that such rules should come from Congress rather than regulators. The court also ruled that the Biden administration can end the Trump-era Remain in Mexico policy. The rule made asylum seekers who arrive through the southern border go back into Mexico instead of being detained or released into the U.S. while their immigration cases played out. A new federal program aims to undo some of the social damage done by road projects over the years. Transportation Secretary, former South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg announced the $1 billion project yesterday. He says the goal is to help neighborhoods that have been racially segregated or otherwise divided by interstates or other major changes. Projects will include rapid bus transit lines, bike lanes, walkways, and repurposing of former rail lines. Applications are now open for cities and states. Federal aid for the program will come from the new infrastructure law and be distributed over 5 years. To some business headlines, American Airlines offered pilots raises totaling nearly 17% under a new contract. It's according to an internal video seen by CNBC. Its proposal includes a 6% raise at signing and then 5% raises at the start of 2023 and 2024. OPEC and non-OPEC partners, a group sometimes referred to as OPEC Plus, concluded a meeting via video conference by deciding to stay the course with its production policy. It means the Middle East-dominated group will increase monthly overall production for the month of August to 648,000 barrels per day. Strapped consumers are on track to sharply curtail their spending for back to school. Consulting firm Customer Growth Partners says the critical back to school shopping season, which kicks off after July 4th weekend, will grow by 5.5% this year compared to toward 13% growth in 2021. And studies show majority of adults think video games should be taught in schools. Wargaming and OnePoll teamed up to carry out the study. Many respondents credit video games with teaching them critical thinking and communication skills, as well as increasing their creativity and hand-eye coordination. An Apple CarPlay feature will let you buy gas from the dashboard. It allows users to tap an app to navigate to a pump and buy gas straight from a screen in the car, skipping the usual process of inserting or tapping a credit card. Some gas stations are already on board, but it'll expand more widely throughout the latter part of this year. And the Big Ten truly will be a coast-to-coast conference come 2024 when USC and UCLA will join. The current schools approved the move last night unanimously. The change will bring the Big Ten to 16 schools. In a statement, USC's athletic director called the conference the best home for USC and Trojan athletics as we move into the new world of collegiate sports. UCLA's statement says this move offers greater certainty in rapidly changing times and ensures that we remain a leader in college athletics for generations to come. IU is welcoming the new additions, writing, their arrival will strengthen the Big Ten's long-standing reputation as the preeminent conference in all intercollegiate athletics. Police in Texas say 4 people died when a human smuggling attempt led to a chase that ended in a crash. Police say officers tried to pull over a Jeep that had a trailer, but the driver didn't stop and ended up crashing into a semi. The Texas Department of Public Safety says those killed were migrants being smuggled in. Earlier this week, 53 migrants were found dead in the back of a semi in San Antonio. And a new poll finds a growing number of Americans want abortion and women's rights prioritized. The Associated Press NORC Center says 22% of adults name the issues as one of 5 problems they want the government to work on. That's more than double since December. Democrats hope to take advantage of the change in mindset as midterm elections near. President Joe Biden called the Supreme Court's decision to overturn Roe v. Wade destabilizing while he was in Spain yesterday.
The most important thing to be clear about is we have to change. I believe we have to codify Roe v. Wade in the law. And the way to do that is to make sure the Congress votes to do that. And if the filibuster gets in the way, it's like voting rights. It should be, we provide an exception for this.
This is the first time Biden has said he's open to changing Senate filibuster rules. At least 2 Democratic senators have said that they would oppose that. And Florida's ban on most abortions after 15 weeks starts today, but it may not stick around for long. A judge ruled yesterday, a state judge, that the bill violates the Florida Constitution and people's right to privacy. But the judge says he likely won't sign the order until Tuesday. Florida's governor says he plans to appeal the decision. Florida's conservative Supreme Court is then expected to have the final say. And the U.S. Supreme Court is sending Indiana's parental consent law on abortion back to the Court of Appeals. The General Assembly originally passed the law in 2017. A judge's ruling prevents it from taking effect. It requires parents of a minor seeking an abortion to be notified before the procedure. It's one of 3 cases sent back to the appeals court following the overturning of Roe. And at least 19 people have died in a missile strike on a Ukrainian neighborhood. It happened before dawn in the port city of Odessa. Ukrainian officials released new daytime pictures of the damage after the attack. Ukrainian officials say at least 2 of the dead were children. Authorities now say at least 38 others are injured. That's up from 30 earlier this morning. The airstrike follows the move to pull Russian troops from Snake Island yesterday. Ukraine's military says it forced Russians to flee in small speedboats. The Kremlin claims the withdrawal was a goodwill gesture. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says Snake Island is a strategic point and important for protecting Odessa. U.S. women's basketball star Brittany Griner arrived in a Russian courtroom this morning. The U.S. Embassy in Moscow says a diplomat will be there at Griner's hearing. Russian authorities arrested Griner at the Moscow airport in February, claiming they found cannabis oil in her luggage. Griner faces up to 10 years in prison if convicted of large-scale transportation of drugs. Fewer than 1% of defendants in Russian criminal cases are acquitted. And you can start celebrating the 4th of July with the Indianapolis Symphony Orchestra tonight. It's the first night for the Star-Spangled Symphony. The ISO will perform part of the score from Gettysburg, and there will be a tribute to the armed forces. It says each concert ends with a fireworks show. There's a concert at 8 each night through Monday at Conner Prairie. Gates open at 6. Tickets are $10. And finally, the Indianapolis Zoo wants help to name 3 new baby tigers. The zoo says 7-year-old Zoya gave birth to triplets, 1 girl and 2 boys, on May 27th. It says that they'll launch a community campaign to name the cubs this month. The zoo says since tigers are solitary by nature, they'll never meet their mom, and the cubs will be bottle-fed for 12 weeks. You do have to wait to see the cubs, though. The zoo says the public debut will be sometime in mid-September. This has been your News 8 Daily 8 for Wish TV. I'm Kylie Conway. Online at wishtv.com and follow us on Facebook when you search Wish TV.
This is the News 8 Daily 8 podcast with Wish TV's Kylie Conway. A Wish TV News 8 update on demand. For even more, on demand and on the go. Connect with Wish TV on Facebook at wishtv.com and on the free Wish TV mobile app. Thank you for listening. And be sure to like, subscribe, and follow this podcast for updates every weekday morning on the All Indiana Podcast Network and wherever you get your podcast.